Hello, everybody, and welcome to Morning Gym Poetry Readings again. And this week's title will be Poetic Craziness. What do I mean? You probably already have your definition of that, but it came from a beginning as I was reading this new book I acquired called English Renaissance Poetry. And it's a collection of shorter poems selected by John Williams and an introduction by Robert Pinsky, who's a well-known modern poet. So it's full of many of the poets who came before or along with Shakespeare. Actually, the ones I'm going to read today are poems from somewhat before Shakespeare's time. And it was a time when the Italian Renaissance had been blooming for quite a while and was beginning to greatly influence the French and the English. It was a time when the sonnet, that started as an Italian thing, was in full bloom, and the English gentlemen who attended mostly Cambridge at that time, wrote poetry, and were frequently a part of the court of Henry VIII. They would write poems to their mistresses, both to seduce them and then to complain later if they were rejected by those same women. Here's a pair of poems to start by Sir Thomas Wyatt. And Wyatt was a courtier and a poet. I guess you could say poetry was what they did when they were tired of just sitting around in the court of Henry VIII waiting for something to come up that needed their attention, which wasn't very often, I think. And I'm going to start with a poem called Madam, Withouten Many Words. Madam, withouten many words, once I am sure ye will or know, and if ye will, then leave your boards, and use your wit, and show it so. And with a beck ye shall me call, and if one that burneth alway ye have any pity at all, answer him fair, with yea or nay. If it be yea, I shall be fain. If it be nay, friends as before, ye shall another man obtain, and I mine own, and yours no more. Incidentally, the word boards that he used to rhyme with words actually meant jests at that time. And of course, jests is a word we know still today, but boards as an alternative, we don't use that anymore. So now, what else? I have some notes here, as you might guess. What else shall I say about this? Fain, another word in there. It means happy or satisfied. That pairing between Wyatt and the lady may not have worked out very well, because a short time later, he wrote this next poem I'm going to read, which was somewhat dismissive verse, and it uses a technique that you don't see very often in poetry. We'll mention it a little bit later. I hate whom ye list. Hate whom ye list, for I care not. Love whom ye list, and spare not. Do what ye list, and dread not Think what ye list, I fear not. For as for me, I am not, but even as one that recks not whether ye hate or hate not, for in your love I dote not. Wherefore I pray you, forget not, but love whom ye list, for I care not. What a strange congeries of words. You'll notice that every line in this poem ends with the word not. Hate whom ye list, for I care not. Love whom ye list, and spare not. Do what ye list, and dread not. Think what ye list, I fear not. Well, the word list, of course, as you may have figured out, means want. Want. Want was a word that was already in currency then, but for poets, they seem to be more interested in reading and writing the word list, because it could be used as either prefer or want at the time of the English Renaissance. And then there is the word rex, R-E-C-K-S, as used here, meaning cares. So he says, but even as one that recks not, whether ye hate or hate not, he's saying, I'm one who cares not whether you hate or do not hate me. For in your love I dote not. Dote meaning I'm not impressed by your love, or I'm not enjoying it. Wherefore I pray you forget not, but love whom ye list, for I care not. So that's a little bit of a cross outburst for somebody who is writing it to a former or desired lover. Finally, we're going to leap all the way to the 20th century, when men were still trying to get ladies to say yes or no to proposals of love and marriage. And who would be better at doing that than Ogden Nash, an exemplary poet and humorist, if there ever was one? And let's let him have the last word. He's got this poem on page 31 of his selected verse of Ogden Nash. And it's called For the Most Improbable She. Now let me call your attention to Ogden Nash with a typewriter on his lap, sitting in a chair in his bathrobe, and cranking out his poems. I'm sure that's just exactly the way it looked. And it's not too far from the way I look when I write poetry many, many years, 100 years later. Okay. For the most improbable she. What shall I do with so-and-so? She won't say yes, and she won't say no. She tiptoes around the cunningest traps with a smile and a murmur of perhaps. At 9, I'm darling. At 10, I'm you. Tell me, what is a man to do when the lady his life is based upon likes to be wooed but won't be won? What shall I do with so-and-so? She won't say come, and she won't say go. I'm on my way, but I don't know where. I wouldn't care if I didn't care. Damn the man who invented the story that a little suspense is salutary. I swear by lipstick and powder puff, fun is fun, but enough is enough. What shall I do with so-and-so? She confesses that I am her favorite beau. But let the topic of marriage arise, and see the astonishment in her eyes. Why am I chosen so to be harried? Other people have gotten married. If every courtship conducted thus, or is it only confined to us? What shall I do with so-and-so? If it isn't yes, it must be no. But who so apathetic as me to all the other fish in the sea? On the other hand, there's the other guess. If it isn't no, it must be yes. But just to be safe, love, I implore you to let me give your answer for you. For the men in the audience, I suspect we've all felt that way more than once. And it's okay. Love would not be very exciting if there were no danger and no uncertainty connected with it, would there? I hope that you all enjoyed this little excursion today. I'm hoping you all enjoyed it. I think we all ought to dip into English Renaissance poetry occasionally. It will prove to us, if we need proof, that language may change, but human nature really doesn't. And remember, there were no words in the Ogden Nash poem that aren't still in our language. But he was just as frustrated as Sir Thomas Wyatt. Some folks are not happy with that, but with me, it's just fine that human nature doesn't change. The next program will be hung from the yardarm on Monday, February 28th. I'll be back by that time from my vacation, and I will tell you that it's going to be in a warm place. I'm getting tired of the western Pennsylvania snow and cold, and occasionally even wind. I thought I had successfully fled the wind by moving here from Kansas, but no, it was not to be. We may then see if we can say goodbye to winter. And that's a hint about what my next program concerns. That's it for today. Blessings on all of you.